Hi friends, that's my sloth in the background. I wanted to get on and I wanted to share with you guys something that has really blessed us as a family, and that is making international friends. So today my son was able to talk with his friends in Israel, and that's a huge blessing. And not something maybe he fully understands right now, but it's something that I understand the fruit that will come from it later. So I grew up and I have French relatives in France, and that experience of having people from a different country speaking a different language with a different worldview for me was very, very valuable, both as a child and later as an adult. If you have the means to do it, I would allow your children to have friendships with people who hold different views than you, who speak different languages than you, and who live in different countries. I don't want the default for my son, his idea of normal, to be what is simply American. I want him to understand that normal exists on a spectrum and that it's varied. I also want him to not allow media or culture or, trends and fads to dehumanize certain people groups and have them casted as the evil other. I want him to know that whether you're a little boy in America, in Israel, in France, much of your boyhood is going to be the same. And I hope he finds the differences beautiful. I hope he's able to look at the differences and marvel at how humans are so creative and how the experiences we have are able to be managed in different ways. I'm very privileged to say this because I'm obviously the mother of a young son. So if you're the mother of a daughter, be safe, be smart. I don't know what to say. I don't have a daughter, so I can't speak to that side of the house. I have a son. But I would say, lead the example. Have friends yourself that are from other countries. Don't be afraid of the scary foreigner script that we in America, I have kind of entrenched in. We like foreigners when they come to our country and they speak our language and they have this
tourist type of view of everything.
No, they have this plastered on facade, but where their Americanism fills in all the scary gaps that makes them different, right? When they've completely
Americanized.
Yeah, what's it called though when you Americanize into a culture or when you entrench into a culture?
Form into it.
No, there's a word for it. So I can't think of it.
Yourself into maybe.
It's the opposite of being alienated. When you
Dumping?
Assimilate. So we like foreigners when they come and learn our language and they Americanize and they assimilate into the culture and their differences seem cute and catchy and few and far between. But we need to love people as they are and with all of their differences. And if we live that example and we can show our children that looking different, living different, speaking a different language doesn't intimidate me, it doesn't make me afraid, but it makes me curious, and I can engage these people for who they are, other human beings, then I think that paves the way for them to have friendships also. This opportunity wasn't born because I randomly found some 10-year-old Israeli boy, right? I'm not out there messaging with 10-year-old Israeli boys. I started my own friendship with a wonderful, beautiful Israeli woman who has a wonderful heart, and it was through that connection that I already had that I made myself that we found out, hey, my son's 9.5, her son's 10.5, and it grew organically from something that I planted. It was the fruit of the seed of my friendship that I had already started.
So it's basically a tree on a tiny tree. Or a tree growing under it.
I don't blame Americans or their children for having this the way American does things is the way that normal is. My son and I drove for 4 days from the coast and moved from the West Coast into America's heartland. And we only encountered people that spoke our language, held our values, and were us. That isn't to say that the American's heartland is not different from the West Coast. It is. It's vastly different. But the differences seem huge, but truly they're more superficial than that. So when Americans have this view that the world is so much smaller than it really is, I mean, I can't be mad at that. I can't be angry that that's the way that it is, right? Because this is by and large our experience. Most Americans don't leave their home state, or they only go to the adjoining states if they live on the border. Not all Americans travel widely or extensively within our own country, which is really huge. You know, my French cousins used to make fun of me for my broken French as I tried and failed, you know, to become fluent. But they live in a country that's the size of my states. You know, you can drive 4 or 6 hours and you're in another country, confronted immediately with other people's culture, music, food, languages, beliefs. And again, I can drive for days on end and not have such an experience. So as much as we're